All right, everyone. I guess I will kick it off for us. Thanks for joining us today. This is part of our new series of just wanting to provide trainings, wanting to provide additional information for you all and your teams. Our goal today is just to make sure, like, if no one has ever used Staylist, that they can reference this video. We'll go back and send a recording out of this video as well, and there'll be a short quiz after to get you Staylist certified. I put in quotation marks because I'm just rolling it out. And so if you complete the quiz afterwards, we'll send you a certificate that you are Staylist certified. And just to kind of have that as a conversation piece and have team members excited to learn Staylist. We're excited to have you here today. If this is a refresher, or even if it's new, like if you're new, this is meant to be for everyone. This is specifically for front desk people or reservationists. So we will be having a manager's one and housekeeping and maintenance one as well in the following weeks. But be on the lookout for that. I would usually send the email the day prior or the day of, just because I know if it's you all anything like me, I am easy to forget. So try to keep it top of mind for you guys. Just if you are new to Staylist, we try to make your park run seamlessly. Like that's our goal here. We want to simplify operations, optimize revenue, enhance the guest experience. So we offer real-time availability with an interactive drag and drop grid. You can modify reservations, process payments, and manage check-ins and checkouts all within the system. We optimize pricing and maximize revenue, which is not something the front desk people get into, but it is something we pride ourselves on doing. And most importantly, we deliver a smooth, hassle-free experience for your guest. And that is something we try to pride ourselves on as well. So we want to make sure that this is as easy to navigate for you all as possible. Today, we'll learn how to navigate Staylist like a pro. So we'll find what you need quickly and efficiently. So we'll run through some scenarios so you'll be able to see if someone calls, what to do, how to react, and within Staylist. This is going to be an interactive webinar, so feel free to log in and play around with us. Hopefully, even if you're not brand new to Staylist, we still can refresh some ideas and show you some new things. So today we'll learn how to book and modify and manage reservations with ease, handle check-ins and check-outs smoothly so guests arrive and depart without a hitch, and answer guest questions confidently, whether they're calling to book, arriving for their stay, or making last minute changes. We want to make sure that your front desk people are prepared and ready to make you all money. Um, and so, this is hands-on. As I said, we're going to be running through real-world scenarios. Please feel free to follow along in Staylist. We will have a live Q&A at the end and ask any questions you have. We want to get answers to them. And this will be recorded and sent back out. So even if your new hires weren't able to attend this webinar, hopefully you can still share that information. So let's get started. First up, we're going to talk about setting up users and understanding permissions, just because that's important for new hires. So I'm going to hand that over to you, Chase.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Host disabled attendee screen sharing. I'm unable to share my screen, Bree.
Don't worry, I got you.
Thank you.
In one moment. I said I got you, but maybe I don't. All right.
All right, I have the ability now. Perfect. All righty, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. All righty. So before we get into showing how to add a new user into the system, I just wanted to do a brief overview of the dashboard whenever you first log in. So whenever you first log into Staylist, it's going to bring up this page here, and it's going to give you some brief information without having to dig too deep. So first off, we have 2 check-ins today, 2 checkouts. Right here, the 3 out of 41 is 3 occupied sites out of 41 sites. So it'll give your total amount of sites, and you can see how occupied you are. Same thing with check-in balances. Right now, we just have one person checking in that owes us some money. Then over here,
Also, Chase, sorry, I just want to interrupt before we scroll down that this is our demo account, which is the only reason there's a Stripe notification on top of it. That shouldn't be present when you all log in. I just wanted to call that out. Just if you are having issues, that will say that, but it shouldn't say that. This is just our demo account.
yep, we are operating off of a demo account. So it'll just have a little bit of information in here, as well as how many reservations, how many point of sale orders, and how many online reservations have been made since yesterday. And some of the quick buttons that you guys are going to want to know about to do your job efficiently and quickly. One of my favorite buttons right here is the suitcase. So this one shows you how many check-ins, how many checkouts we have for the day. And then over here, we have the search icon. You can search by phone number, email address, first name, last name, almost any information that you've ever taken on this guest. You can search that as well. And then over here in the cogwheel, you have your full contact database here. So if you need to pull up someone's phone number or email quickly, you can go to the contacts. Otherwise, under gift cards, here are some examples that have some gift cards at the time, so you can see how much money they have, if there's an expiration date, when they expire, and their contact info. Another one as well is going to be the groups, and this would show all the groups in the system, and right now we just have this one demo group. So jumping into how to make a new user profile, what that would look like. First, I'm going to show you the user profiles. And this, we go cogwheel, users, and user profiles. And in here right now, we just have front desk. But if you guys have maintenance or housekeeping, you can lock down the permissions to exactly what you want them to access or what you do not want them to access. So if we go cogwheel, users, and then actually profile permissions, this is a drop down here that the screen share isn't showing, but that's front desk. So for this particular profile type of front desk, we can click yes, we allow them to view the availability grid. Yes, we allow them to view contact information. And I'm not going to bore you guys and scroll through all of the different permissions because we'd be here until tomorrow, but there's a lot of control with what they can actually see and what they cannot see. So once you have that front desk profile permission set up, then we can actually make the individual user and other people to that user type. So if I go cogwheel, users, and then users, here's where we can add
Chase,
that in. Yes.
sorry, can we slow down because this is interactive, so people are doing it with us. And if anyone has questions, feel free to like raise your hand, and we'll get to them. I think we're moving pretty quickly for everyone's liking.
Okay. Sorry about that. So to go over what we just did essentially is I'm showing under the users tab that the user profiles, these are what we would call, front desk. You may have a maintenance profile type or a manager profile type. And this is where you would make those actual types. And then if you want to move over to cogwheel, users, and profile permissions, in here, we can select the profile type, which in this case, I'm going to modify the front desk. And you have allow, and then it'll give you a description of what exactly you're doing. So creating cards on file, and you can either click to allow or not click and not allow them to access these certain functions inside of Staylist. And you can get very granular across many different levels if you would like to. And then once you have all of those set up to your liking, then we can go cogwheel, users, and then put in the actual individual users themselves. So when we click on that, it's going to bring up, so far we just have 3 users in the system, but we are going to add a new one by clicking on the plus icon right over here. So when we put that in, I'm going to make one for myself. So we have my first and last name. And then we have the different profile types, which this is a drop-down menu, and I'm going to assign myself to the front desk. So I'll have those permissions from earlier. And then we will put in the email, which is what they will use to log in. And then password as well, just typing in a password. And then we can either enable two-factor authentication and add in a phone number if we would like to. And then our only other option would be, can this user view all users on reports? And I'm going to leave that one clicked off. So now when we click save, this new contact has been made and they are attached to the profile front desk, so they can only view what the front desk is allowed to view. Do we have any questions with anything I've shown so far? How to set up users, modify users, or give them any permissions? You can just raise your hand or unmute. All right, I will take
Thank
that
you,
as
Chase.
no question. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stephen and or Bree if you would like to give that introduction. And I'm going to stop sharing now.
No, Steven is good to go. Excited to see what he has. This is going to be the scenario situation. Now that we know how to set up a user, and I've enabled the chat. So if people want to ask questions in the chat, there's also a Q&A you can ask questions in, or just raise your hand. I want to make this as interactive as possible.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Chase. So with this section, what we're going to do right now is we're just going to kind of create some reservations, go through some scenarios that you may see in a day-to-day as a reservationist. So first, let's go through the scenario of a guest calls to make an in-house reservation. So we'll just go to our availability grid here. So the first thing you're going to want to find out is their date. So you can either do it from right here on the grid, locating it through this search bar here. You can jump by days, weeks, months, years, or just jump directly to the month. Or you can even go right here to this top bar. This is my preferred method. So we'll put in our check-in day. Let's say that they want to check in on the Friday the 14th. They want to stay for 5 nights. It's going to autofill our checkout. And then we're going to just hit search. You can also input rig information if you'd like, rig type, length, and slides to make sure that it fits the category you're looking for. So these red lines are showing me all units that are available for that time frame. So if we select just site 1 here, we'll just grab our 5 days. And you'll notice there, I did it through the drag and drop method. Staylist has 2 ways to create a reservation. You can use the drag and drop method or just clicking a single night and modifying the checkout day. In this scenario, I prefer the drag and drop. So then we move on to the contact card phase of this, as well as the reservation information. So the contact card, always search for the guest before just saying new guest. So in this case, if I search in test, there's my test user here. If this isn't my test user, then I would want to hit new guest then. But you'll see, as long as I input that first and last name, it's gonna auto inject into the reservation. So it's always safe to type in the name. Just going to put in some simple information here. We've got their zip code, their city, their state. And you'll notice there, when I typed in their address, it auto-injected from Google. So makes the process extremely simple. So below this, we have the contact notes. These notes stay with the contact forever. The guest cannot see these. These are only for you guys in-house. Next page, we have the rig information. We have the rig type, length, slides, make, model, year, and VIN. Any of these can be made required fields by just reaching out to us and requesting that they're required through the in-house booking process. During online, they're always required. Guest information. So with the guest information, this is your people that are with the stay. Mainly, these are used if you're using wristbands with our wristband capability. It just ties the person to the wristband and then a card. You can also set an allowance or an age group if you'd like. Um, Next, we have vehicles. So the vehicles tab, it's the same as the rig information. It's just going to collect the label, plate, state, make, model, and color. Once again, any of these can be made required on request. And then the memberships tab. The memberships tab is for your Good Sam accounts. With the Good Sam integration, we can verify at time of booking whether they're an active Good Sam member or not. Any questions about the contact card before we move on? All right. On the right-hand side here, you're going to see the breakdown. So you have your check-in, your checkout. You have your nights. We can click this and show the drop-down. Admins or people given permission will be able to modify this amount at time of booking. But by either modifying it here, so we could say this last night is actually 75, or we could say the grand total changes to, so it's as simple as that to modify the nightly amount. The guests, if you guys have occupancy charges, extra adult, extra children, extra pets, it's as simple as clicking and modifying that. Once it exceeds the included guests and adults that are included in the stay, it will automatically apply those charges for you, as it did in this case. You also have your discounts drop down. If you have any active promo codes for this time frame, you can click the drop down and select them. Or you can say a percent discount. Say, okay, we want to give 10% off, and it'll automatically apply to the grand total. Or you can just say we want to give them $50 off, modifiable. Once again, this is all permission based, so only certain people will have access to these. Charges. If you need to modify charges at the time of booking, so they may say, okay, we want to add a lock fee. We can click and add the lock fee there, and it will automatically lock this reservation. Or you may say, we're going to not charge for the pets, even though it's a required charge. In-house, you have the ability to turn that off. Add-ons. This is an upsell feature for some parks who have golf carts or kayaks or any kind of rentals, fire pits. You can select the add-ons and you can say, okay, golf cart. And if there's any availability, it'll show just like on the availability grid. You can see your breakdown of your taxes. So in this case, we have the city, state, and county transient tax that's automatically applying to our stay. Your grand total, which is 300, and then deposit due. So this account has a 100% deposit policy. So it wants to take everything up front. This is modifiable for people with permission. So you could click here and you could say, okay, deposit for this person is actually only 150. Select reserve, and it will bring you to your payment screen. From here, you can choose your payment method, whether it's credit card. If your park has terminals, you can select terminal and select what terminal it applies to, cash, check. If they have a gift card active, these are modifiable, so your park may not see all of these and only the ones that your park allows. So in this case, we'll say cash, taking 175. Process. And in the case of cash, it's even showing me that I have a cash due back of $25 for the overpayment. Any questions about the reservation creation process that we went through there? All right. So let's go through the next scenario. Guest calls and they want to modify their stay. So they can either provide you with the reservation number right here for a quick lookup, and this is usually attached to the confirmation document, or you can search it on the grid. So you could hit the search feature here and type in,
Hey,
um,
Steven, there is someone with their hand up.
oh, go ahead.
Uh, I had a question. If two people were making a reservation, they wanted like space one and two, aren't you supposed to be able to like highlight two spaces at once on the same
So
reservation?
yeah, so that is the group feature. So on the grid, if you hold shift, you can drag and drop two units together. The other option to that is selecting the first unit, selecting this top left box here, selecting group, and then you can select the other option. In my opinion, the holding shift and grabbing the time is the quicker way to do this. With this, you'll have the contact information. You can select whether it's a new group or an existing group. In this case, we'll say it's an existing group. Um, we can select the demo group, and then it's going to ask for the contact to be assigned to it. Reserving it will then create a folio ID, which you'll see here, leading the name of the group. And within this, you'll see that it belongs to a reservation.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure we didn't
No,
pass
no,
that
that's
too far out.
all right. So, modifying a reservation. So, if we click the search here and we want to look up that user two that we created, we can just type in user two. We hit enter. This shows us all reservations that have been created under that user two. Um, so in this case, we might want to look for the one that is our 314. So right here, it's a confirmed reservation. If we select this, it instantly brings us into their reservation. The other option to search is to use this search bar right here on the grid. So if we type in user, hit enter, it instantly is going to highlight on the grid and jump around to any users that fit that name. So in this case, we want to modify this one. They call and they say, we want to stay an extra day. So two ways to go about this. The first way is to hover your mouse at the end of the reservation and drag it over. Once you release, it's going to bring up the modify reservation. From here, we can modify to add that extra night. The other option to go about this would be to click into the reservation, go to the cogwheel here, and we want to modify rates and discount, or sorry, change units or dates. Once we're here, we can select this checkout box here, extend by 1 day. At this point, we could even change the unit if we would like. So they may say, okay, we actually want to stay in back in 4 instead of back in 1. Clicking that will allow you to change the unit. Quote, it's going to show you the nightly rate. So this is the old rate. This is the new rate. Say you're comping them this night and you don't want it to affect the rates. You can unselect this rates box here. Now, this other one will appear that says requote new nightly rates. This is for more so for our dynamic users or dynamic pricing users. So if they booked 6 months ago when dynamic pricing was at a different rate than it currently is, you can select this so they'll keep their old dynamic price rate. And it's only going to requote the new nights. In this case, we don't want that. So we're going to unclick that. And then we also have discounts. Do we want the discounts to stay the same? If we do, uncheck this, or if we want to give them a discount at this point, we can select this drop down and say, we're going to give them a 10% discount. Now, if we were to unclick discounts, even though we just applied that, it's not going, or sorry, it will still change. Charges. Do we want the charges to remain the same? Because there's a difference now in the charges, 25 to 70. So we can unselect charges and it goes back down to 25. So we'll save our changes.
Hey, Stephen,
Yeah.
can you pull that back up and just kind of explain like why people might want to recalculate nights due to dynamic pricing and kind of how it's important to make sure that you communicate with your manager on those kind of rules?
Yeah. So with the dynamic pricing, the big thing is someone may book 6 months to a year out. At that time, if they're booking a big holiday weekend, they might have hit one of the lower dynamic pricings. And they might have got, depending on what your variables are in your dynamic pricing, you may have been giving them a discount or only increase of 10% at the time. However, it's now closer to the stay. So your park might be 70, 80% full at this point. So your dynamic pricing is now charging 20%. So you might want to honor that 10% you originally quoted them at for the increase on the dynamic pricing compared to the 20% that it's going to want to change to, even though you're adding one night. Or you might say, okay, you're changing your stay that close to the holiday. It's going to we're going to apply the new dynamic price, even though it's one night. It's at the park's discretion. Um, but that would be the scenarios of why you may or may not want to uncheck that box.
And I hate to be this person. Can you just show that screen so they can see what they can check and uncheck one last time?
Yeah. So under the modify rates and rates here, if we uncheck the rates, this is what will cause this box to appear. And this is the box that we just discussed that will affect the dynamic pricing or not.
Yes. And then also if, you're doing an abandoned night or something like that, you might want to take the discounts off because the new discount is going to be more than that, right?
Correct. Yep. So in that case, you might say, okay, we only want to requote that new night discount. We're just going to go in and hit this red X, remove our discount from it, and then we can save the changes. And it's only going to requote that night and remove the discount.
Awesome. Sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions around what we just discussed there?
I think we're good.
All right. So now we'll move on to checking in a guest. So most parks nowadays have a signature required for check-in, or they may have some kind of document that they require signed. So let's go through the check-in process. If someone comes in and they need a document signed. So normally you're going to be sending that out in your confirmation, requesting a signature at time of booking. However, in some scenarios, the guest may not realize that they need to sign something. So you may have to do that at the front desk. It's as simple as opening the briefcase when they arrive. So let's take this test user here, for example. They're checking in today. We can click this reservation. We can click on the email or print. It doesn't matter which one you prefer to use. It's at preference. I prefer email. I feel it's a simpler way. And you can click on their confirmation document. So it brings it up here. So you have the e-signature link here. If you click on this, you can click on the guest signature here, and that's going to take you to the signature to allow them to sign right there in front of you. You will have to turn your screen to them for this. Some parks use iPads or tablets, or just have a spinning monitor that they allow guests to sign in on, or you just make it so that they're required to sign on their phone. They have to go to the link or their confirmation document. It's at the park's discretion how they would like to handle that. That will allow for the signature to happen. Um, Once the signature is signed, you can now look, make sure that they don't owe anything on the reservation. You'll see this red dollar sign right here. That would normally indicate that they owe any money. As long as they don't owe anything, you can click this checkbox. It's as simple as that to check in your guests. If they had any outstanding documents that you guys require or they had a balance due, it would notify you at time of check-in. Same for checking out. So this guest, this test user two here, we also have him checking out today. It shows a dollar sign. So if we were to click on him, we can see that they owe 47.80. We can take the payment right here or through the transactions tab here by adding a payment. The easier way is just click make a payment, whatever form of payment they're taking. If they have already paid with a credit card, you're going to have a credit card stored on file. Um, so in this case, we will just say this was a cash payment, $48, process, cash back of 20 cents, and then we'll go ahead and check this user out. Add-ons. So this add-ons tab and time slots. Some parks are going to have golf cart add-ons, or they may have kayak rentals or bike rentals for time slots. In some cases, the reservation stay may be longer than what they have the add-on. So you may have add-ons checking out even though the guest isn't checking out. You can do that through the add-ons and time slots here, or you can just say, I want to see all the tabs. You can also say up here in the top left, show me any reservations that are checking out tomorrow or in the future. And you can quick search using the grid there. The other option would be to use your reports, your departures or arrivals reports to look at check-ins and checkouts for the day ahead of time. Any questions about checking someone in or out?
There is a hand up.
If somebody is just coming in for the day, but they're not, staying in the space, they're just maybe renting one of your add-ons, like your kayaks. Is there a way that you can just type in their information without them booking a site specifically? So they can sign like the waivers and make the payment?
Can you do the time slots, Stephen?
So time slot is going to be a reservation creation, or
Yeah.
well, it will create a contact card for them. I would say time slots are your best way to go about that, just because you're going to track. So I guess the next question, my follow-up question to that would be, are you charging for that add-on?
Yes.
So time slot, 100% will be your best option for that. That's your hourly rentals. So you can set that for one day, and then they can come in and just book that time slot, creating the contact card, taking payment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so now that we've gone through the reservation creation process, let's talk about modifying charges. So we'll open up our test user here. So you'll notice you have this charges tab on the side. This is going to be your quickest way to modify a charge. So if we open up this tab here, we see that we have the adult occupancy and the pet fee automatically applied. So we might say we need to add a late checkout fee. You can select it here, add the charge, and it's going to show you the amount and the quantity. You can modify it at this time. So you may say, okay, for whatever reason, we need to change this charge to 25. So it is modifiable at the time of checkout if you need it to be more dynamic. So save it. You apply that charge, it automatically affects the balance due. And you might say, okay, actually, we didn't mean to apply that charge. So we go and we say, okay, let's delete that charge. It's as simple as clicking here and deleting the charge. Or you might say the occupancy fee here. We don't want to actually charge $30 for this, but we've already added the charge. We don't want to remove it and go through that process again. We can just click this pen and paper here on the right-hand side, and we can update the amount. Any questions about modifying charges? Yeah, go ahead.
So if I had like a kayak that I wanted to rent out for a day instead of like an hour at a time, and I wanted to give them a better price because they're doing it for a day, how would I do that?
So rent out the kayak for a day. And I would still lean towards time slots with that because the time slot you can choose how much time is
Hmm.
selected, and at the same time you can also choose or modify the amount. And let me see here.
And you could also create that extra charge of like if you want them just to have a full day, you could have a different rate for that in the time slots.
Mm.
Yeah, so with that kayak or extra charge, so other whatever it may be, are you looking to just create that as a charge and tie that to their reservation, or do you want it to be a standalone?
Tied to a reservation.
So you could go the route of add-ons because that would be a full night and that could tie directly to the reservation. Or you could also create just a charge. The issue you would run into with charges if you went the charges route is charges aren't stock controlled like an add-on is. So my recommendation would be to create add-ons. And let me see if I have any add-ons in this demo account. I do not. So if you would like to book a training with me um, after this, sometime in the future, I'll be happy to run you through all that and help you guys set that all up.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Any other questions?
There's another hand raised. Go ahead, Shonda.
Sorry, I just had to take the hand off.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So after modifying charges, let's talk about canceling reservations. So for whatever reason, this person needs to cancel. So we click on the reservation, and now let's say cogwheel, cancel reservation. Now, normally all parks have some kind of cancellation fee, whether it's 100%, one night deposit, um, or deposit, or one night, or a flat amount. So, depending on how it is set up with your account, we can say, okay, we want to cancel with fee. In this case, we don't have a cancellation fee set on this account, so it doesn't want to take anything. Or we can select this amount and we can modify this to be whatever we need it to be. So there was no payments taken against this transaction, so it's not going to subtract anything from. So let's use this one that we paid against. So cancel reservation. So right here, it's wanting to take $150 cancellation. Or you can say cancel no fee or convert to gift card. So the convert to gift card functionality, that is the same as some people may look at it as credits. You can take it for a future stay or hold it until they need it in the future. It doesn't only have to be used for cancellations. Um, they may want to purchase a gift card to use in the future. There's many options for gift cards. But in this case of canceling, let's say that we're canceling with a fee. So right here at the bottom, you're going to have your send cancellation email. So in this case, I don't want to send one, so I'm going to uncheck this box. It's as simple as clicking cancel reservation there. Now it's showing there's a balance due of 0. In some cases, you may have to refund, but I'll let Chase talk about that next. There's a lot of rules and a lot of different things that can go on around cancellations. In that case, it was very simple because it was just a simple 100% cancellation fee. So it took everything up front. Some parks may have varying cancellation policies depending on days out or so. So if you guys have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. Randy.
Yes, when it comes to canceling with a gift card, if they're not gonna make it, but they know someone else that's coming in the area, can they transfer it?
They can. So with that, um, let's say that these two here, I'll go ahead and I'll pay against this one here. So go ahead and pay that off fully. So we've got one that's fully paid and one that hasn't paid yet. So we can go into our transactions here and we can go transactions, and you're going to see these left and right arrows here. So if we select these arrows, by default, it's going to look for any reservations that have the same contact card. You do have the ability to override this and say, okay, I want to go directly to this reservation ID. And you can find that ID from these numbers up at the top here. So if we say transfer, we want to go to standard back in 4 here, transfer the payment. This reservation now shows that nothing has been paid against it. And our other one, I'm probably sent it to the wrong one here. Yep, I sent it to this one. So my recommendation on this is always use the reservation number here. And if there's going to be multiple stays. So if we just copy and paste this. So transfer again. The 317 here. Override, reservation number, transfer payment. Goes directly to our destination that we want. It's the safer of the option. That way you know it's going exactly where you want it to go. They may have a bunch of stays in the future, and so you got to go track down which stay it is that they want to transfer to. But if you have that reservation number, it's the quicker option. Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
What if they have it as a gift card? Like, I
Yeah, so
have a
let's say
cancellation with a gift card.
this payment here. So we're going to go ahead and all right, so let's go ahead and cancel this reservation. We cancel the reservation, we convert to gift card. It's sending that full 317.80 to the gift card. So we cancel the reservation. That now lives in the gift card. This reservation is now canceled. We can come to this one here and we can say, okay, we want to make a payment. We have the option of gift card here, and we have that gift card that we created a second ago right here.
Mm-hmm.
We can process the payment. That gift card disappears from your save in the gift card area,
Okay.
and it's now applied to this reservation.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions around this? All right, Bree, that wraps up everything I wanted to talk about with reservation creation and modification. So I will turn it over to you or Chase.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to hand it over to Chase just to talk about payments. Just to make sure we really go in depth on that, and then I'll take it over at the end. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Perfect. That sounds great. Alrighty. So Stephen touched quickly when making the reservation how to apply a lock fee whenever making the reservation, but also whenever we open up, let's say we're going to open up this reservation here, and they're in back in number 4. Maybe this guest, he really likes back in number 4, and he wants to be locked in these sites and he does not want his dates to change. Then all we have to do is go right up here to where this lock is. And when we click on that, it's going to ask us, hey, would you like to add the lock fee to this reservation? We can either specify yes, and it will, no, and it won't apply that fee, but it'll still lock it, or cancel, and nothing will change. In this case, to add it on, I'm going to select yes. And now if we look under charges here, we have a $20 lock fee. Or over here under charges, we have the lock fee as well. And this is going to stay locked until we go back in and unlock that lock by clicking it. One thing I will note as well is if we go to the log, you can see all of the different history that has occurred on this reservation. And me being the demo user that I'm currently logged in under, it shows that I modified the reservation charge and added that lock fee on. So before I get to the next thing that I'm going to show you, this user has a balance due of $21. So I am just going to go in and I'm going to make a $25 payment via cash, just so he's fully paid up. So process payment, $3.60 is due back. And now he has this $0 balance due. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cancel that reservation again, and then we're going to go through different options for refunds. So just like Steven did, we're going to go up to the cog wheel and select cancel reservation. So this one is canceling the day of. So he is going to be paying for everything. He's not going to get a refund. But for demo purposes, I'm actually just going to change this to $55. That way we can generate a balance due back to the guest. So $55 flat cancellation fee. Like Steven showed, we could put that into a gift card or do no cancellation fee, but I'm just going to do $55 cancellation fee. So cancel reservation, and now this guest has a $119.20 refund due back to them. So if we click on refund to payment, it's going to take us over to the transactions. So here are all of his transactions. And I'm going to go and I'm going to click this red circle with an arrow that says refund. And it's calling for $119.20 due back in cash. We could, if he would have paid in a credit card, I'm not sure if Zoom is showing my screen share with the drop down menu, but we could put it back on a credit card, give it back in cash, which is what he paid. Same thing for a check, non-auth credit card, or convert to gift card and convert to credit. No one on this call would want to use credits. We just use gift cards instead of credits. So in this case, I'm just going to say we gave him $119.20 back in cash, and you can refund that payment. So with refunds, if we wouldn't have done that, just like Steven also did, we could have clicked these little arrows right here and moved these to a different reservation or given it elsewhere. Any questions with anything I've covered so far before I move on? Alrighty. So the next thing I'm going to show you, let's pull up a different reservation. We will just use this one here. If I wanted to add a discount onto this reservation, then what I could do is go up to the cogwheel right here, and then we would select modify rates and discounts. So when we get here, just like Steven taught us earlier in this call, we would want to unselect everything in this case, except for discounts, because we're only going to be applying a discount. So when we open up this here, if we had any discounts, maybe military or first responders, we could select that from the drop-down menu. Otherwise, we can type in a percentage amount discount or a flat amount discount, which in this case, we're just going to apply a 10% discount. Click apply. We can see what changes this has made. It's brought down $25. And now we can click save changes. So in theory, since we added this discount on after the transactions have already been made, he would in theory owe us, or we would owe them $27.50 back. Any questions with applying a discount to reservations? All right, I will take that as no questions. And now the last thing that I'm going to show you is how to handle your long terms. And right here, this user to test reservation, I made this earlier. This is just a 120 night reservation. And what we're going to do is we are going to turn this into a subscription. So how we do that is we're going to move right over here where it says subscriptions. And right now, there's no subscriptions linked to this reservation, so we'll click the plus subscription to add one in. So, with this guest checking in on April 1st, the default start date that's going to draw for money or call for money is April 1st. We can update that to today's date if we would like to. Otherwise, if we just scroll down a little bit, you have April 1, May 1, June 1, and July 1 for the months that he's staying. And to keep the math extremely simple, we're just going to say that this account charges $1,000 per month. So if you click copy, this is going to push down the $1,000 rate per month. And then we could go ahead and click create. And when we click create, we'll see on the first of every month, the system is calling in the first month for $1,000 plus $70 in tax. And then May 1, $1,000 plus $100 in tax on these appropriate dates. If we would like to, we could turn on auto charge by selecting auto charge, and we can choose a card on file, click auto charge, and then in this case, on the first of every month, the system is automatically going to run that card that we select. Otherwise, the client, they could receive an email. We could have automated emails go out, and that could take them to the guest app where they can pay for their bill or what is owed. So, are there any questions with subscriptions or adding lock fees, giving refunds, or anything that I've covered in the past few minutes?
Hey Chase, also, I would like to note that our subscriptions are getting a facelift here soon. So we will announce that and send an email out when that happens. It will still have the same functionality and still flow the same, but it'll just look prettier and more updated. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But it does look like Shonda has a question.
Take it away, Shonda.
On the subscriptions, when they get the email, is there a way that it's like a link on there where they can pay it? Or you just have to have like a card on file?
Yes, so there's a link that they can receive to pay, and that would essentially take them to the guest app. And I have an example of what that would look like right here, which in this case, this is not for a long-term reservation, but it's very similar where they could type in a card number and pay towards their balance, or online they could do ACH here shortly, and it would show different bank options and things of that sort. Does that answer your question?
That does, thank you.
You're very welcome. What other questions?
And thank you for all the great questions today, Shonda. I really appreciate it because, we don't know what we don't know to explain.
Perfect. Well, it sounds like there are no further questions. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Stephen.
Thank you, Chase. The last thing we're going to talk about today is support. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, so at the bottom of your Staylist instance, you will see this support box here. If we click on this box, the first thing that's going to pop up is our training articles. So before ever submitting a ticket, you can come in here and you can say search for help, and you can type in what you're looking for. So in this case, you might be looking to create an event, or if we type in here rates, and the first thing that comes up is creating a rate code in Staylist Pro. Gives you a step-by-step guide with pictures and videos on how to update your rate codes. Let's say that you run into an issue that you don't find in the help articles that we've created. So you want to reach out to a person in our support team. So same thing, you'll just click on this support box here. And you'll click this messages icon in the bottom right-hand corner. When submitting a message, please provide the reservation example or the point of sale example, depending on what it is, a detailed description of how you reached this issue or recreated this issue for our support team to follow. It'll speed up the process of the reply, so we won't be a lot of back and forth. If we can provide everything up front, they can instantly go look and start digging into what you guys saw and seeing if our team can recreate it. This is a real-time communication between you and our support. Just by clicking this, send us a message, and you type out your message. Submits it, and then you'll see this waiting for a team member. Once one of them pick up your ticket, then you will be getting a response. Any questions about submitting support tickets?
Doesn't look like we have any right now, Stephen.
All right. So you see those dots, and there we go. So Zoe just replied to us. So with that, Bree, I will pass it back to you.
Awesome. Um, you know, we're running short on time, so I just want to thank everyone for sticking with us and for attending this training. I hope it was useful. I would love to open this up for the last little bit into some Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, would love to get those answered as quickly as possible. But just to let you know, I will be following up with a recording of this webinar. We've created kind of like an onboarding checklist of questions a reservationist and front desk person should know prior to working the front desk. A link to Staylist Help Center, a little quiz to kind of get you certified in reservations with Staylist, and info on scheduling additional training with Chase and Steven. But I will open the floor up to Q&A now. Go ahead, Randy.
I did have a question about on the grid. Is there a way to just look at your grid and see if there are like, especially for monthly stays, if there's like open payment, like that there's monies owed?
So from the grid, I wouldn't suggest the grid for that.
Okay.
What I would suggest for that is your balance due report. That's going to show you everyone who owes money current, and you can filter that. And I'll go ahead and share my screen here.
Also, while you're pulling your screen up, Stephen, I do want to mention that these reports will also be getting a facelift here in the next month or so. So you'll still be able to access them the same, but they'll be more informative and they'll look a little sleeker. We hired a new UX, which is user experience person, a designer. So it's just going to flow easier and look better and be more intuitive for you. And I see you, Casey. I'll get you next.
All right. So if you really do want to look at the grid and see if anyone owes money, so this red dollar sign, I know it can be kind of small and hard to see here. I'll try to enlarge my screen. There will be a red dollar sign on the reservation that you can see from. However, under the reports, if we go to the balance due report, which is the third one, this is going to show you. You can say, okay, currently on site, checked out, has not checked in yet, or all. If we select all and we run that report, that's going to show us all reservations that still owe a balance due.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Casey.
My question was answered. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Perfect.
Love when that happens. Shonda, you can go.
If somebody wants to use two different credit cards on a reservation, how do you split that, like evenly?
So the way to go about that, and I'll use this as the example here, this reservation we haven't paid against here. So the first step would be to go into the user contact card. So once you're in the contact card, you're already going to have one card that you jotted down, or you may not have taken any cards yet. So you can say, okay, we're going to add both of these cards. Once the cards are added under this, under the overview contact card here, cards, once you add both those cards, you can go into the overview and you can click make a payment. And then this is going to turn from card number spot to selecting a drop down of cards that are currently tied to their account. So you can modify the balance to be half, run the first card, and then run the second. That's currently how different card payments work in Staylist.
And that 317.80, that is the total with like the terminal fee, like the 3%?
Correct. Yep. So the grand total. So what you'll see here is the balance due with fee. This is our demo account, so it's not tied to this one. But you would see balance due with fee right here.
With fee, okay. And then you just type in the 2 cards and just, I have to do the math on it and divide 317 divided by 2, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
You just divide that and then
You type it in manually.
correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Fantastic. It looks like we have no more questions, but if you do, please feel free. I'm going to send an email out after this. Feel free to respond to it. I hope, this was useful and helpful, and really appreciate your time. I'm sorry we went over, but, be on the lookout for our next email where we're going to be discussing managers, and then we'll go into housekeeping and maintenance as well. And then we'll do a full deep dive into the POS because we know it's its own monster. But, please feel free to always reach out and ask any questions. We're really happy to have you here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.